I was born in kind of a musical inclined family. They were musicians, but they love music. They love classical music, and they were my aunts were part of the first Pro Arte Musical. It's like the, I would say, equivalent of Lincoln Center Performing Arts Society or something like that, to put it in today's term. I grew up and there was this upright piano in the house. My aunt used to take lessons, voice lessons, from a very famous tenor. And I used to hear her vocalize. And then next door to me, there was, we moved a pianist. And she was a wonderful pianist, and her daughter. And I used to hear them practice. And I would go and play on my piano, the piano in my house, what they were practicing, and bits and pieces that I could take by ear. And once she talked, she called my mother and says, "Who's playing the same things we are?" And so my mother said, "This is my son." So that's how I started. Then I developed really with the Figueroa family in San Juan, and Carmelina was my teacher. She was a wonderful pedagogue. L'école normale in Paris, and at that time, l'école normale was like the pedagogy school. Paris Conservatoire was for the virtuosos, the concert career people. But Cortos founded this institution to train not only performers but teachers. So my teaching training at the beginning was I was very fortunate. She was a very complete teacher. We did a lot of repertoire every week. She had Miss Tyree. She has a keyboard harmony. All kinds of things were sort of installed besides a technical regimen, the Courtois exercises and everything. So it was wonderful. So by the time I was 12, I gave my first recital. And I think that's always, I say, I have never played so well in my life, but that time. And after that, I came to United States every summer. I used to come here to, I went to Aspen, I went to Interlaken. And then at 16, 17, I auditioned to the Juilliard School because what I read, that there was Clavier magazine was very popular in those days, and I read the interviews of Adele Marcus and on technique, on musicianship, and I thought, gee, this lady, first of all, she's a teacher, and the second is the same line of training that I've been getting. So I decided to come to her, and she admitted in me immediately, and then we start working. And she was the one that really developed me from 16, 17 until 21. Then I won the concerto competition at Juilliard. I had some visibility, and I signed up with Herbert Barrett Management right after school, and I started my concert career at that time. Um, Also, I took like private lessons with Leon Fleischer and William Macelos. So it was, yeah, it was a really growing experience. And at that time, the concerts, Colombia artists had a thing called the community concerts. And one of the Colombia artist managers moved to Herbert Barrett, and he tried to brought all those contacts with him. And so it got me into playing a lot. I got a lot of performing um, uh, experience on stage. What is to play, what works and what doesn't work. You see, and so I have incorporated all that in my teaching, and I think I'm very grateful I had that because that really it makes a big difference. And then after that, my career kept developing. Played the Casal festivals. I won affiliate artist. That gave me an introduction to many orchestras in the United States, including the New York Philharmonic, um, the Detroit Symphony, the Baltimore Symphony, St. Louis, and then I was in Europe for a while. Um, so I've been, in South America also, in Central America, in Mexico. I played, and in Puerto Rico, of course, we were very lucky to have Pablo Casals being part of us at the time I was growing up. And he brought his fantastic festival and all the great pianists and musicians, Isaac Stern, Rudolf Serkin, Holshovsky, all the Curtis crowd used to come down there. And so I listened to them all. Then after he passed away, Krzysztof Penderecki, the great Polish composer, took over. And he also brought phenomenal artists. And I had the privilege to do many collaborations with Vladimir Viardo, with the Deutsche Streiks Trio, with the Artonoras, play with the orchestra. And after that, I started teaching at Westminster Choir College. That's when I met you, or around that time. And I was there for a number of years. And um, I went to Catholic University of America and in Washington D.C. and I have belonged to the wonderful school and I'm very grateful to those years, my colleagues, and they were wonderful, all of them. And now I'm back in New York and ready to start another chapter in my life.
You're at NYU right now, right?
I am at NYU, exactly.
Yeah.